Good morning. I hope that you and the family are all doing really, really well, as best as can be expected under the circumstances, and hopefully even better than that. When we go through difficult, challenging times in our lives, it's not uncommon to feel a little abandoned, particularly by Hashem. Like, I don't understand what's going on over here. What have you done to us? You've put the whole world on halt. You've made my life difficult. There's fear of people and their health, especially members of our own family. We're afraid that everybody should remain healthy. We're worried about finances. We're worried about the future. So it's not uncommon for a person to feel kind of abandoned at this time. And maybe one of the ways that we can tackle that is throughout our liturgy and throughout our literature, we always refer to Hashem as our Father, Avinu of Harachamon, our Father, merciful Father in heaven. We often use that kind of an expression. And children don't always appreciate what their parents do, but when you're a young child specifically, you by default trust your parent, and you know that whatever it is that they're doing, perhaps I don't understand it or appreciate it, but somewhere deep down we know that they're the best we've got. They provide for us, they protect us, and they have our best interests at heart. In Tehillim, in the second Tehillim, King David says something very powerful. He's actually talking about his own experience. Anybody who's familiar will know that King David had a particularly difficult life. So he says, I will speak, Hashem, about your statutes. Omar Elai, beni ata ani hayom yelideticha. He says, King David says, you have said to me that I am your son. Today you have born me. In other words, he says, look, I'm going through an incredibly difficult period in my life. What's going to keep me afloat and what's going to keep me focused is the knowledge that Hashem is my Father, that I am Hashem's child. Now, that's very empowering and it's very reassuring. But what he says in the next verse is almost surprising. Straight after that, he says, Sha'al mimeni ve'etna. Ask of me. He's paraphrasing Hashem. Ask of me and I will give to you. And the commentaries tell us that those two go hand in hand, because effectively what it's saying is this: as long as we believe that there's some kind of a long distance relationship between us and Hashem, if we believe that God is running the world by remote control, He doesn't really care about what's going on in our lives, He's got His master plan and we're just a cog in the wheel, well, in that case, we are not in a position to ask from Hashem what we need, because we've created a psychological distance between us. But when we realize B'ni Ata, that Hashem says to us, you are my child. You are my child. If we can have that consciousness, then Sha'al mimeni ve'etna. Then we're in a position that we can ask things from Hashem and He will give them to us. Unfortunately, we so often just disintegrate into disappointment and feel a sense of distance. Once we remind ourselves that we are supposed to have an optimistic outlook, not because we're airy-fairy, positive-thinking people, but because we recognize that Hashem loves us. In the words of the Baal Shem Tov, Hashem loves every single one of us with a greater love than parents who had their first child when they were already elderly after having struggled for many years. You can imagine what that kind of love is. The Baal Shem Tov says Hashem loves us even more than that. B'ni Ata, when we recognize that we're Hashem's child and He cares for us, and we obviously care for Him, Sha'al mimeni ve'etna, then you can ask for whatever you need, whether it be something that you can possibly imagine happening, or especially when it's the kind of thing you could never imagine happening. And please God, He'll give it to us. Have a great day, stay safe, and stay sane.